Hi, I'm Christina Giordano, the founder of Sold, your go-to resource for soulful entrepreneurship. And my philosophy is this: people can no longer be sold to, they must be sold to. That is SOUL'. But in order to sell with soul, you have to be sold on yourself first. This is marketing and manifesting with nothing but the essence that is you. This is business that begins within. This episode is called Before Convergence, the pressure that proves coherence is real. Now, as a reminder, this is just a preview of the full episode that you can find on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Again, it's Sold by Christina Giordano. You can find those links in the description here. When you're moving through the sold approach, through the sold framework, one thing that comes up within the holding pattern and before convergence is something that most people cannot handle, and that's pressure. It's the pressure between your internal identity and your external reality. When you're building internal coherence and your external reality is exceedingly not matching the internal reality that you are cultivating, there's a gap. And the sensation of that gap is immense pressure. So here's the logic. If alignment only held up when things were easy, so when external reality was confirming it, or when there was no friction, you would never know whether you were signal responsive or just lucky. Comfort doesn't test anything. The pressure is the only thing that actually can verify whether your orientation is internally generated or externally dependent. And there's something almost structural about it. The gap has to be wide enough and held long enough that going back is genuinely costly. Not as a punishment, but because if returning to the old pattern were still easy and comfortable, there'd be no real reason not to. So the pressure makes the new orientation the path of least resistance eventually by making the old one expensive to maintain. So the new orientation is really just a matter of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and committing to it, but knowing in a way that is specific enough to act from when nothing outside is confirming it. And committing to it is not just a one-time decision, but as something you keep choosing. Especially in the moments, it would be easier not to. So the sold approach, the methods, the curve, the gap, the threshold, all of it is really just scaffolding around building up your signal. It's what makes your signal structural, not emotional. The problem that people interpret this pressure phase is as a sign that something is wrong. But what if the pressure isn't evidence that you're off track? What if it's evidence that your coherence is becoming real? So, in this episode, I explore the gap between internal identity and external reality, why pressure is actually what makes coherence load bearing, and how what I call the holding pattern serves as a structural stress test before convergence occurs. So, more specifically, we'll discuss why pressure reveals real coherence rather than creating it, the difference between borrowed confidence and built capacity, how to tell whether your new orientation is truly load bearing, practical tools for navigating this really high pressure phase without abandoning yourself, the shift from anxious pressure to focused momentum as convergence approaches, and finally, why the sold trajectory is ultimately essence led and rooted in truth. If you've ever found yourself wondering why reality isn't reflecting what you know to be true yet, this episode will help you understand the purpose of the gap and why it may be proving far more than you realize. The pressure isn't the verdict, it's actually the proof. I hope you enjoy this episode. Again, you can find the links for it below. And until next time, be well and take care.